Hello, 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 hello. This is the fourth edition or the fourth live chat. There's so much stuff to talk about, you know what I mean? Just outside of Asian MMA, if you put MMA all together worldwide, there's some major headlines in the past week. The first one is, of course, John Jones and his continued brushes with the law. And then you got Diego Sanchez saying that CTE is or CTE does not exist, and you got Habib and Ferguson probably not going to happen because Habib is stuck in Russia, and from what I heard is Russia has closed their borders, so nobody can go in and no one can go out. So um, these are some major headlines going on right now. We'll probably get into some of those things, and also today I'll probably talk about uh, a fight fix scandal thing that happened a few years back in Seoul, and break down and tell you the whole story of what exactly happened in that. And it involves a UFC fighter. You've probably heard of it before, but I'm gonna kind of try to break down the full story from what I remember and from what news articles have stated, and I'll tell you what has happened to some of the participants in that scandal. So we'll get into that. I'm waiting on our guest, Bruno. Bruno has been covering mixed martial arts for over a decade. He currently resides in Japan, and he works for a couple of publications, a couple of news outlets. And I want to get him on and ask him a bunch of stuff about the Olympics, Pancrase, Ryzen, K Festa, who just had an event last week, even though there's the coronavirus going around. Uh, we'll we'll ask him a bunch of stuff. So if you got any questions for Bruno, just put them in the comments, and then we'll go through all of those. So the first thing I want to get into today is the whole John Jones situation. Man, it's just sad to see. Just sad to see in sports an athlete, an elite athlete. But it happens all the time. So it's not like something new, and we should all be shocked at what is happening in front of us with John Jones, because it's happened many, many times in the past. It's just sad to see somebody go down that path. We don't really know exactly. You guys seen the video of him getting pulled out of his car, and he's very, what would you say? He's very compliant with the officers and calling them sir, and so it was kind of weird to see that too. He wasn't defiant at all. He went with the whole thing, and he got, I guess, he DWI, and then he's got a something with the gun. So it's kind of a weird situation with that. um I have a theory on that, is maybe John Jones was in some serious trouble, like with himself, with his own demons, and uh and there's a reason why he shot that weapon out the car. Maybe he was trying to draw some attention to himself. Maybe he was in a bad situation, a bad time of his life. You know what I mean? Of course, he's the best in the world, and he's rich, and he has pretty much everything he wants, but that doesn't really tell us much you know about him and what's going on inside his head, in his mind. And maybe he was at a really dark place, a low time, and him firing that weapon and getting drunk and getting high, it was just a outcry for help. And it's like maybe the people next to him they're not trying to help him. They're just trying to, you know, trying to take advantage of him. Who knows who's next to him? You know, I have no idea. I'm not next to John Jones, but this is just my speculation. It's just my theory on yeah, everybody in the comments is talking about Habib. Yeah, Habib, yeah. He admitted it, you know, on the Instagram live that he cannot leave Russia. And yeah, it's shitty, but the thing is he says that, but maybe it's not true. Cuz someone was saying that he can take a private jet out of Russia. Um through somebody, I forgot who it was, probably some high level official or some multi-billionaire or somebody is behind, you know, or trying to help Habib and trying to get this fight done. Um, I don't understand why Habib went back to Russia. If he really wanted this fight to happen, and why would he go to Russia? Why would he is he did he go back to be with his family? Because from what I heard is that he went against UFC orders. Like, come on, the UFC can't order you to do shit. Like, they can't order you to not leave a country or anything like that. You have to, you decide on yourself. They could suggest something, and then you decide if you want to go with it or not. So, maybe Habib wanted to be with his family in this time because you never know what can happen with this virus that's going on. So, but anyways, he's in Russia. He can't get out. That's what he says. And the fight is pretty much fucked. So, what's the contingency uh plan? What can we do? You know, I feel like this fight will happen. It's not like they're like so far. It's not like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz or something like that, where it's like a fight that nobody wants to see, and they're super old. It's these guys are at the top of the game, so I feel like it will happen eventually. The best case scenario is that they would postpone the fight and reschedule it. That's best case scenario. But I feel like the UFC, they're not gonna do that. They need a main event for this fight coming up. And if it's not, and if especially if it's a pay-per-view, um, but the thing is like they could change this event from a pay-per-view to a fight night. They could do it. You know what I mean? And if they do it, they could put any main event there. You know, you could put Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck in the main event. You just turn this show that you because there's no location, so it's not like they have to have a pay per view. And if they do, just postpone it. Just put a fight night on. Just extend the fight night. Fight night Columbus is going to be on May 18th, and you just put a bunch of fights together on that card. You kind of make a hybrid card of the ones that you canceled in UFC 249 and just call it a fight night and then have Francis. He's already in the States. I think Jairzinho, I don't know if he's in the States or not. Maybe he's back in Suriname. I think he is back in Suriname, but you got to find people. If the event is in America, you have to find people in the US. You're not gonna have people flying in for another country. And you're not gonna definitely have not people flying out of the US because you got travel bans going on. Brazil just I feel like they just closed their borders and they're gonna close their borders for a month. So for a month, man, Brazilians cannot nobody can get into Brazil unless it's like special circumstances, and pretty much probably Brazilians are suggested not to leave the country either. And if they do, they probably go somewhere where they have to be quarantined for a few weeks, or they have a travel ban on Brazil. So it's a shitty situation for the UFC. Um, but I feel like they're gonna have an event no matter what. It could turn into a fight night. I think that's the best case scenario. Put a card together. If you're gonna have it in the states, have all the fighters that are in the states that were supposed to have fights coming up. I think it was Columbus and Portland. Put some fighters from the Columbus card, put some fighters from the Portland card, mix and match that shit, and get a main event going. Between maybe it might have to be this. It might have to be Francis Ngannou versus Walt Harris. That might be the main event. I'm just saying, it might be the main event. They might cancel the show, UFC 249. They're gonna put a patchwork job on that show, make it a fight night, and it's gonna be Walt Harris versus Francis Ngannou. That could be a possibility. What do you guys think? I don't know. So let's see. Let's go to the questions. All right. Let's see what we got here. Um, let's go to this one first. All right, let's go to this one. Real snitch mob hitter. Do you think Jones will spend time in jail, and will he be stripped or have an interim title? I think Jones will go to jail. I don't want him to go to jail, but I think he will go to jail because he discharged a weapon, man. What country can you go to and discharge a weapon? And it looked like he was in the middle of the city when if you watch that tape of him getting arrested, it looked like he was in the middle of the city, and somebody called the cops on him for discharging the weapon. If he doesn't go to jail, man, damn, he got some good fucking lawyers, man. And he got priors too for like other DWIs or DUIs or some shit. Man, he's going to jail. They're going to strip his ass. How are you going to not strip somebody that went to jail or went to prison? And it's just another chapter in John Joseph's story, man. It's just a sad story. But yeah, I feel like he's gonna go to jail. If there's any justice, you gotta pay the price, man. You broke the law. Even though I feel like it was a cry for help, but still, you gotta go to jail, and you gotta go to rehab too. Probably like one of those inpatient rehabs. He should go to one of those places. Call Dr. Drew. Get Dr. Drew on his ass 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? Have him counseling and all that shit because he needs that shit. All right. Next question. Is Rita Fogat the best chance of the first MMA star in India? If not, who is? Rita Fogat, man, she's still green, man. Even though she has that wrestling background, if you watch the fights that she's had, and then against the competition that she's had, I feel like if she was that good, she would have performed much better and been much more dominant and finished those fights early. But she hasn't shown that. So I don't know if she's the best chance of an MMA star in India. I don't know what for an MMA star, like it doesn't matter like what the record is or even they're a champion. She could probably be because she's already famous in the country. She's had a movie about her or whatever, or she starred in a movie or some shit like that. So yeah, she could be a big star in India, um, but the thing is, one championship needs to go to India. Like they haven't went to India ever. They have Indian fighters on the roster, but they've never had an event in India. Like Brave has had events in India. What's another promotion? Yeah, I think Brave, and then there's Super Fight League and Matrix Fight Night, but those are all tiny promotions. Brave is probably the biggest one, but for seems like One Championship is working hard to get in there because they've been signing a lot of Indian talent. But yeah, Ritu, she's probably the one that's going to be like a homegrown, like a real Indian, not real Indian, but Indian from India, born in India, not like a Canadian Indian or yeah, or Indian Canadian or whatever you want to call it. Like you got Gary Mangat and you got like Arjun Buller. Those are Indians that are born and raised in Canada. But to be somebody like homegrown, yeah, you gotta have Ritu probably is the best chance. But there's probably some talent coming up in India. It's just like they don't have the resources though. They don't have like they're so behind. Like there's a big push in China and they're investing a lot of money in China. And that's why the stars and there's the athletes are much more improved and better. But once India gets all of that, once they get the financial backing and the facilities and stuff, yeah, you're gonna start seeing some talent coming out of India. All right, let's see this. Habib Russia was going into lockdown. Habib knew Russia was going into lockdown, so I don't know why he went there while knowing that 3 days in advance. Yeah, that's kind of weird, man. it is true that why did he go there when almost every country is gonna go on lockdown, especially Russia. And if you knew that, then why the fuck would you go back? I have no idea. Maybe there's some reasons that we don't know that he needed to go back to his family and to check it out. But it was kind of weird, like all those rumors going around about he was in Abu Dhabi or something. I was like, whatever. All right, next one. No, the media backlash not worth it for anything other than Khabib versus Tony. Yeah, there's gonna be media backlash no matter what. There's been media backlash for everything, for every move, everything that Dana White has said, every move that the UFC has made, and I think it's mostly for Dana White. I think Dana White doing those interviews and saying what he says, um, yeah, about like the testing for coronavirus and trying to move the events to certain locations and people just digging in against the UFC and particularly Dana White for all those things. But man, yeah, it's a dangerous thing to do. But Dana White is not the only one throwing events, man. There's like people, there's promotions in Japan throwing events. There's Chael Sonnen just had an event. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna throw events no matter what. You gotta think. So should they do it? Probably not. But are they gonna do it? If there's no one stopping them, if no one's getting arrested, they're gonna try to do it somewhere, anywhere. And and let's say he did do an event in the US somewhere and they threatened to arrest Dana White, I feel like they wouldn't do the event. Because Dana White's not gonna get arrested for that shit. There's no reason for that. All right, I don't want to see Harris versus Ngannou because I think he would get destroyed. Hey, yeah, but 95% of the heavyweight division, you probably think the same way, right? Like if Ngannou faced anybody, almost anybody in that division, they would get destroyed. But why would Walt Harris not have a chance? I feel like Walt Harris has just enough chance as Jairzinho, or even if Overeem rematched Ngannou, I feel like it would be a different fight because Overeem, a very intelligent fighter. So that fight that he had, the first one, it probably would change how he would approach Ngannou in the second fight, and it would be a much more competitive fight. I feel like the Ngannou fight actually set him up really well for the Rosenstruck fight until he got knocked out. He was winning that fight. He was doing really well against Rosenstruck, and it's kind of like a similar style, except for Rosenstruck is much more technical than Ngannou. But Ngannou is just like he's a monster. But I don't mind seeing it. It doesn't matter. You could probably see this fight down the road somewhere anyways. You know what I mean? Like Walt Harris is moving up the ranks. Ngannou's already up there. Eventually it will most likely happen somewhere down the line. So why not now? The cops didn't get called. They were in the area and heard the shot. Okay, my bad. I thought somebody called in the shots. Oh, that's kinda weird. I thought somebody called 911 and they heard some shot, like one shot go off. Okay, my bad. So the cops they didn't get called. So, they were in the area and heard the shots. All right, my bad. I didn't know that. If you could play matchmaker for Hamdalay, I hate that nickname. Why does people call her Hamdalay? That is one of the worst nicknames ever. I hate that. You know what I mean? Like Hamza is my favorite Korean fighter of all time. Okay, there has been a lot of great Korean fighters, but Hamza is my favorite, flat out. Like she's the best. She's still going strong. Who would you like her to fight next? Mm, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because she's beaten everybody. Uh, she beat. I feel like the Hamasaki I feel like Hamasaki, even so, because the last fight was so close, like it could have went either way. And then also Hamasaki has beaten Ham Soi before. I feel like that would be the fight to make because right now in Road, there's no one to fight her, not even close. Like if they made a fight in Road, it'd have to be somebody from another promotion coming in to fight. they don't have anybody signed on the roster that could fight her and even give her any kind of problems. So they would never have her fight in road probably. And if she does fight in road, it would be Hamasaki. Hamasaki would go over. That's what I want to see. I want to see Hamasaki go over to road and fight Ham for her road FC title to see if she could take that. And then it would be kind of a funny, a cool situation right there where Hamasaki holds the road title and Hamsari holds the Rising title. But in a situation like that, I think that would be fun. But anyways, if she fights, I feel like yeah, give her I don't know. I think it's like their third or fourth fight against each other since the last fight was so close. Give her the rematch. Go to road. Fight in the next event. Hamzoi versus Hamasaki. But if you look at Ryzen Super Atomweight division, there's a bunch of girls coming up, but no one is like a clear title challenger. The only one that I would see maybe becoming is the former champ, who's Kana Sakura, right? Maybe she could fight her. But other than that, I don't really see anybody else coming up. You know what I mean? Like as a clear contender. There's a lot of girls there. It's just like they need to build themselves up a little bit more. But yeah, that's a good question though. I want to see what Ham right now. She's in this like court thing with that manager or whatever. So I feel like she's focused on that, and plus the coronavirus is putting everything on hold. All right. Next question is: where should Stephen Lohman end up after his contract with Brave? I think he would be a great fit for one UFC or PFL. Um, Stephen Lohman, he's a bantamweight, right? And PFL, they don't have. Do they have a bantamweight? I don't think they have bantamweight, right? I think the lowest is the featherweights, from what I remember. If they do have a bantamweight, PFL would be great because you get a $1 million, and I think Steve Lohman has a good chance. But I don't think I don't see him going to one championship. I feel like he should go to one. I feel like he should either go to PFL or to the UFC. One championship already has. Oh yeah, someone just wrote there's no bantamweights in PFL. Yeah, Steve Lohman's a bantamweight. He's not gonna go to PFL. So I feel UFC should be his next stop. He's built himself up to such a high level now, and he's been champion, PXC champion. Now he's been the Brave champion for a long time, and basically he's pretty much outgrown the promotion. So he should go to the UFC because UFC doesn't have any Filipino fighters, none. I believe. Yeah, there are none. There are no Filipino fighters in the UFC right now. So he could get signed and he could do damage in that bantamweight division. Like he could go in there and be a top 20 fighter, I believe. He could compete up there. He has the style, the striking, the explosiveness, and he has that experience, which is very important. He could come in and do very well against a lot of the guys. I would like to see him fight like a Corey Sandhagen. That's reaching kind of high, but after a couple of fights, I feel like in the UFC he could reach that level and fight a Corey Sandhagen. Will he be champ? Probably not, but uh, he has the skills to be a champ. So because that bantamweight title or bantamweight division is stacked. But yeah, that's a good question, Stephen Lohman. Yeah, what's this one? Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas was meant to be on 249, which was important since it was meant to be for the Rose to get the title shot. So will Tatiana, Jan, and Rose all have the same chance at getting Zhang? No, I don't think so. I think Tatiana, she's not even close to coming back. From what the last interview that I saw of Dana White talking about Tatiana is that her neck is still so jacked up, or some injury she has, to where she's gonna be out for a bit. Jan, yeah, Jan's up there. I feel like she still needs to win another fight. Rose, yeah, if Rose beats Jessica Andrade, she's definitely the next title contender or title challenger. Um, go today. I just uploaded an interview with Zhang Weili's and Yan Xiaonan's strength and conditioning coach. He's the only coach out of their coaches that can speak English, and he's been out there in China for more than 10 years. So he knows a lot of about the country, and he knows a lot about the fighters. So but one interesting thing from that interview he said is that they will fight each other. So there's going to be no problem of like, oh, I'm not going to fight her, she's not going to fight me. He said they will fight each other, and he wants to see that fight, which is I love that. I love that they will fight each other because they both have the same dream. But go to my YouTube. Everybody subscribe to that shit and go watch that interview. It's pretty long. It's like 45 minutes long, but he goes through and kind of explains like his whole journey. And he also climbed all 7 summits, the 7 mountains across the world. He climbed them all. It's crazy stories right there of him going blind on one of the mountains. Yeah, but yeah, he talks deep about like Zhang Weili's camp for 248. Before that camp, he talks about like what she went through and all that. Gives details about that. Go back and watch that. I just try to promote myself a little bit. Next one, since 249 probably would get scrapped. Okay, 249, yeah. Let's see. What about Ham versus Reina? Though she probably didn't earn a shot, but for the stylistic matchup, Reina is not good. I'm just gonna tell you that. If you watched a few of her fights that where she actually fought a decent fighter, she gets destroyed. And Reina has fought some cans in the past couple fights. But that's Reina though. She's a star. They're gonna keep her fighting the people that she could probably beat. Even her last fight, she could have lost that fight. It could have went either way. But she could fight Reina, of course, and that would be a good name on her on her what is it, on her record in Japan, and a lot of people watch that fight. But I feel what she will do is she will destroy her. Like literally, it won't even be a competition. Reina, she's not that good, and she could improve, but it doesn't seem like she's working on the parts of her game she needs to improve. I would like to see Reina fight Kana again. That's a fight I would like to see. If Reina could get past Kana, then I would justify her fighting Ham. But you know what? With Japan, they make the fights that they want to see, and if they feel like this is gonna draw or garner the most interest, and they're gonna put that Ham versus Reina fight together. But for me, I feel like Reina will get destroyed, so that fight should probably not happen. But if it does happen, I would like to see what happens because you never know. It's MMA. Reina could go in there and just outstrike Ham. Who knows? But Ham is much more powerful. It seems like with her punches. So does it make sense? No, but could it happen? Yes. All right, let's see. PFL males 145, 155, 170. Yeah, so it's weird how like PFL only has 155 for females, but it doesn't have no other female division. It's very odd. They have a division where it's like most of there's the least amount of girls fighting in that division, but they have that division. So basically they made it for what's her name? I forgot her name. Let's see. Next question. Any idea if the Filipino Carl's John de Tomas plans on fighting again and where? He's still really young and maybe just got to the UFC too early. Yeah, definitely got to the UFC too early. I don't know. He hasn't fought in a long time, so I have no idea. I see him on Facebook, like uploading stuff or posting things, but it doesn't seem like he's fighting though. And one thing that I know is like Abu Dhabi Warriors, they're very interested in the Filipinos because there's a huge Filipino community in the UAE. So whenever the Filipino fighters come, there's a lot of people in the crowd supporting the Filipino fighters. And that's why you see a lot of Filipinos going out to UAE Warriors, and UAE Warriors wants because it brings more crowd, brings more, what is it? The audience gets more excited, you know what I mean? Things like that, which is important for an event. So I don't know. I think UAE Warriors would be a perfect place for Tomas De Tomas, but yeah, I don't know about anything else that's going on with him. When is Kana Morimoto planning on fighting? I have no idea. I would have to look that up. So maybe next week, I'll have an answer for that. So I'm gonna. So for you guys, for Carl's John De Tomas, I'll go check up on him. I'll let you guys know next week, and also Kana Morimoto. I'll check up on that and let you guys know next week. All right. PFL released their full fight roster, but backtracked and only posted returnees from last season. Do you think roster will change because of the corona restrictions of various countries? That could be a major, major possibility. Yeah, it could be a huge possibility that they're changing up the foreigners, but it all depends on who who did they post as the roster. Like if they posted everybody that's in North America or in the US, and then all the people that are outside of the country, they exclude them from the list that they originally announced, then I could see that. But if there's fighters that are from another country and they posted those fighters, then it doesn't make any sense, right? So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure uh whenever there's a contract for fighters, there's snags along the way, and then eventually they can't fight for the promotion, or they get a year-ending surgery or year-ending injury surgery or something like that. So so it is what it is. You know what I mean? What can you do? Mainly worried about Chosung being laughed out loud. Yeah, Chosung Bin, he might not be able to get out there. I don't know if it's the thing is like can PFL start their season on time, or is it already supposed to already started? I have no idea. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't watch much of the PFL at all. So I would catch some of the fights, but like most of the guys, like I know who they are. It's just like I didn't really watch the fights too much. There's so much going on. In just as a fan, if you follow like Bellator and the UFC, that's a lot to follow. And then if you follow like Bellator, UFC, um, one championship, that's a lot to follow. So like these guys that are following like every promotion in the world, almost every major promotion in the world, they're doing a fucking hell of a job because I can't follow that shit. Like ACA, I don't watch ACA too much unless someone like recommends a fight or something like that. I'm not really watching it too much. I'm mainly focused on like what's going on in Asia, which is like with Ryzen or the what is it? Uh one championship or just locally in Korea since I'm here. And sometimes I'll check out the Japanese cards and if there's something going on in Thailand or in China is kind of hard to follow because it's China. What do you expect, right? Should I hold up my JMA quiz until your guest comes out? Yeah, you should. Where is he, man? Is he gonna? He's gonna. It's just tune in. I think he's gonna come on right now. So let's see what happens. Maybe he's here. Maybe he's not. So if you guys got questions for Japanese MMA, write them in the comments now, and we'll see what happens. I'm trying to get Bruno on. He sent me a message, and now we'll see. Where is he? So yeah, just put some. Let's before while we're waiting for him. Let's see what happens. Do you think John Jones is suicidal? Why is he going out drinking and driving, getting high, and firing a gun while he's in quarantine? Yeah, it could be that. Yeah, it could be two things. You're right. It could be he's suicidal or he's mentally unstable. That's the only things that you could think about. Because when the police came to him, he was like acting very normal, man. Like he was acting like a guy that knew what he was doing, and he was being very cooperative and very nice to the police. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about that guy. That is so confusing. A lot of people just want to shit on him and stuff like that. But man, but what if he did like shoot himself, but he didn't die or nothing like that? You know what I mean? Then what would you say? You know what I mean? Like that's he's in a something's very, very wrong with that situation. So where is Bruno? Where is Bruno? Where is he? Anyways, if you got some questions, JMMA questions, I got some questions for him. But if you got some questions for him, put them in the comments and let's see what happens. Where is this guy? Hopefully he knows what he's doing. Let's see. Or maybe he doesn't have Google Chrome. Let's see. Oh, here he is. All right, here we go.
Hello.
Bruno.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, hey, people are waiting for you, man. They're like,
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I
it's all,
just trying to understand that it's my first time to do StreamYard.
oh, all right. No worries, no worries. Yeah. So like, there's a few questions, right, that they want to ask you, but I have my own questions first. So I want to ask you my questions about some of the stuff that's going on in Japan. Um, Now, before we start, of course, go to Bruno's YouTube. Go subscribe to his YouTube. Follow him on Twitter, everything. And I'll put that in the descriptions. And yeah, this guy knows everything that's going on. So he's good. He's a good guy to ask questions about. Now, let's talk about first is the Tokyo Olympics. Now they're rescheduling the Olympics for next year, July 23rd to August 8th, 2021. Right now,
Correct.
what are the what do you feel about that? Like them just delaying the whole Olympics until next year. Is that terrible for the country?
Uh, Depends if the how can I say, depends if the postponement will be happen. If something problem with the government or for Olympic stuff has is going on, because we don't know what's gonna be happen.
Mhm.
It's a different scenario. It's a different for everyone in the world. Everyone participated on this, but I do believe the postponement is the right thing to do, because not about Japan, but the problem is about all countries,
Mhm.
especially for aliens coming to Japan. We don't know the risks of this pandemic. It's blah 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 stuff, But uh, the good thing is the International Olympic Committee understand the situation and give the to Japan a 1 year layoff. I think we hope this situation is gonna be done, and I don't know how much time, but if it's gonna be a 1 month, 3 months, so I do believe in 2021 everything will be cool, and definitely we have a good times with the Olympics.
Yeah, definitely. It's good that they are taking the 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 proper approach, and delaying it instead of putting people in danger. Now, talking about putting people in danger, last weekend, K Festa 3. A lot of
Yeah,
people were talking about that event, right? There was 9,000 people in the crowd at that show. Is the coronavirus not as bad in Japan compared to other countries right now?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Mm,
I can do talk about myself. I'm still working.
mm,
Um, I not stop on one day. The life is still normal. Of course, the government make some adjustments. We have some little bit restrictions, but it's not. I looking for maybe a comparison with another countries. It's not like like Brazil right now, like
mm.
Italy, like US. It's completely different. Well, we're still free, right? But it's not a irresponsibility about everything about us. It's because the cases, the numbers it's not too much big comparing on other countries. But I think the Japanese society, the Japanese people, they follow the rules. They're always looking for masks and blah blah blah. And I can tell about my job too. In my company, they make a lot of changes. We always have alcohol gels to use to wash my hands and etc. And I think that the details, the special things makes the difference of talking about Japan.
Yeah, the reason why I think people are saying that they should not have the event is because other promotions are canceling their events. Like Pancrase, they
Yeah.
canceled all their events, and but K Festa had their event. So it's like, what do people want to follow? Because Ryzen, have they decided what they're going to do? Are they going to do their event or not?
Yeah, it's I think the because it's a major decisions.
Mhm,
Depends the promotions are dealing with this. We can see right now with the UFC. UFC trying to save the event, not to cancel it, do his best to make the fights going to be happen. But I think in special case about K1, they try to make the risk. It depends the promotion by promotion. I do believe it's this scenario which Rising is some similar like UFC. They try to waiting for how much time he can, and if the government recommendations come from. Unfortunately, they need to cancel. But if the recommendations from government not come, they still have a chance to make the event possible.
all right. Well, hopefully they make a decision soon because it's getting closer and closer, that show, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you saw the date, they have a April 19 to do that. But right now, the recommendation for government it's about April 12. They have
Mhm.
only 1 week to make the final decision. No, it's probably we see some news coming soon.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look at the questions. Someone is asking, why didn't Satoko Shinashi ever get a real step up in competition?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because Shinashi have a good fight career, but if you see it's hard thing to understand because the Japanese market is completely different than anyone. They have a lot of managers, lots of people involved. Sometimes uh, the the negotiations, the relationship is not going good.
Mm.
Maybe they have some personal issues too. It's a very difficult to say, but every fighter have their reasons to be participating or not, especially here in Japan.
Yeah, definitely. She's also, she's over 40 years old. So is she going to still continue fighting?
I don't know. I need to check with more to find out the information. But Japan, it's completely different, man. It's sometimes we'll see people competing. Sometimes we will not see anyone. It's I can say one case is particularly like Teruto Ishihara. he not competing for a good time, right? And we don't know about his situation right now. We don't know about the contract situation, if he's still or not with UFC, or
Yeah.
trying to move or moving on and sign with another promotion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was interested about Teruto because he's on the roster, but he hasn't fought in a long time. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
what's going on with him? Nobody knows, right? Right? Do you
Yeah,
have you heard anything?
I see he a couple times around,
Mhm.
but we not see progression, not see anything. We don't understand if they still waiting for his contract with the
Mhm.
UFC to end it, to be free agent again, or or probably he doesn't want to compete right now. It's a little bit understandable.
Okay. Right now Invicta strawweight champion Kanako
Kanako
Murata,
Murata.
right? Is
Yeah,
she?
yeah, but
You think she's ready for the UFC? That's what someone wants to know.
it's a good question. It's a good
Mhm.
question because depends on competition. Kanako, everyone knows she's about ground skills, about her wrestling skills. But I think step by step is good.
Mhm.
Right now, she gets the title. Gets a good fight in the previous fights. I do believe she facing Liana Pirocin, a Brazilian girl. She is a very good fighter, but unfortunately, Kanako made a good job and gets the title too. I think she can get a shot. Depends about her situation with Invicta. And the pandemic, everything make something change it. It's a different scenario for everyone, especially for MMA promotions too.
Yeah, I think she's ready. I think she can go in there and not like get in there with the like top 10 or nothing like that, but if she's going to progress, she
Of
gets in
course.
there, she fights somebody like in the top 20, somebody that has some of a name, maybe one or two fights already, because she does have that style where she can fight somebody that's more skilled but still win the fight.
Yeah, yeah, but especially UFC, always you getting there,
Mm,
you're gonna be tested. It's I do believe in not only Kanako, but if the UFC matchmakers wants to push to bring her that opportunity, they understand, and she's a Japanese. I think it's time to UFC get more shots for more
mhm,
Japanese fighters, and not only Asian, but especially from Japanese. They have the audience, they have Japanese people, but in the last couple of years, we see a lot of Japanese fighters leaving the UFC, like Horiguchi
mm.
and others. But it's good to see a new generation comes to MMA, especially not only MMA but UFC too.
Kazumasa Majima, do you think he has any chance of going to the UFC?
It's difficult. It's difficult, but depends of the level of competition. Uh, Maybe not now, but why not in the future? In probably
Mm,
6 months on 1 year, and but much Japanese can be going to the Rising too. It's Rising is a great platform too. Depends of what he wants to do. I need to tell the people, the all MMA hardcore fans, hey, not have only UFC. Much
mhm.
people are always told about UFC, but they have a lot of options. He can compete in Rising, he can compete in one championship, he can compete in Bellator. Have a lot of options of if you are a professional fighter too.
What do you think about what happened to Yoshinori Hori? Like how he only had one fight and then he got cut by the UFC. What are your thoughts on that?
It's. Mm, I do believe maybe Hori looking for a more payment. It's my personal
Mm,
opinion, you know. But when you are going to the UFC, uh, sometimes you stay a long time with no competing, with no fights, and maybe Horiel looking for stay more active and get more fights and. He fought recently in Pancrase, but
Mm.
nobody doesn't expect the pandemic stuff. The world is going to be stopped, but we hope the situation is getting better soon, and we see he competing for much time, especially in Pancrase. Maybe why not Rising too? He's a
Mm.
very good talent, have very good skills. He's young. I do believe if he wants to going back to UFC, he has a lot of skills to do that.
Pancrase, where do you think they rank among the organizations in Japan? Do you think, Ryzen is probably number 1, right? Do you think
Yeah.
Pancrase is number 2 or 3? Where do you think they rank?
I do believe so. I do believe so.
Mm.
Pancrase. The good things about Pancrase, they always still working. They have every single month. We have a 1 or 2 editions of Pancrase. They open doors for a lot of fighters. They have some many opportunities to everyone. If you want to be a top fighter, definitely you need to go to
Mm.
Pancrase and test your skills in the Japanese market. But Pancrase always doing a great job. It's not right now. It's not the same size of Rising and others, but it's a very good platform. If you starting MMA, if you have a how can I say 3, 4, 5 wins, and you need to be test yourself. I think it's a good platform to step in and try to make a big moves in your career in the future.
Definitely. And also I feel like Pancrase, they could go to any promotion. They could go to one championship, they could go to Ryzen, they could go to the UFC, right? It's always there's a line there for that promotion.
Yeah, yeah, and the good thing is about punk race, they always trying to make deals with other promotions.
Mhm.
If you see the punk race in probably 2 3 years before, they trying to do some stuff which former PFL promotion, and now they are recently they make a deal with a one championship. Punk race always trying to make good deals, not for only for good for from their promotion, but I think the good thing from Friday fighters too, because last year we see a lot of punk race champions join to one championship, getting a contract spot, and I think it's good. It's good for the market, especially here in Japan.
All right, going back to K Festa, Takuro,
Takeru, yeah.
after his fight, he said something. What exactly did he say? Because everybody was saying that it was kind of controversial.
Yeah, I think it's hard to understand, but I think he wants to deliver some emotion, and much people wants to see the big fight from Takeru, but I do believe it's not inside in the hands of Takeru to fight with tension. It's not too much easy. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this fight. Have a lot of situations involved. K1 is still there. We have another promotions. We have rising, and of course we have attention management. It's a lot of people involved, and but Takeru is a superstar in kickboxing. They have his fans, probably he wants to deliver some emotion from the fans, but you know you understand the business is not like this as a
Mm.
fan wanted to see. Okay, let's go to Tokyo Dome, let's go to do Takeru Association, but in the reality, the negotiation is very much hard than people expect.
Definitely. Um, it says, do you think Kyoji Horiguchi will end up rematching Kai Asakura at some point in time, or do you think he could win the rematch?
I I do believe Horiguchi have a chances. Probably in the first fight they not expected that punch and the premature knockout, but if he study Asakura and much more, probably you see Asakura the later fight against Manel Cape show a lot about him too. I think it's a good matchup. It's a good matchup. Depends about how much time Horiguchi will heal his injury. Much people expect he's coming soon, but you know it's a it's a very tough injury, ACL. But who knows if in the end of the year we see the Kyoji Horiguchi coming back to Rise, and definitely how do you know about this rematch? But probably Horiguchi have a lot of options right now. He can fight Manel Cape, he can fight Sakura, he can fight the other person. Depends about what he wants next. But I think it's a good match.
Who do you think is gonna who should fight Manel Cape next?
Mm, I do believe Rising wants to put him against Ogikubo because they do something in the television, and Ogikubo get a good win against Ishiwatari, but
Mhm.
the business is going to be dynamic. Everything can change it right now. Well, how what the if Manel Cape staying Rising depends about the negotiations, about the people are available to. Injuries always stay there, and if someone gets injured, the opportunity comes from another person.
Is Manel Cape a free agent right now?
I I don't believe so. I think he's still on the contract, and but if Manel Cape stay out of contract or try to negotiate another good deal, uh, you know, it's good for him. But I expected Manel Cape stay on Rising.
Another guy in Ryzen, Tofik Musaev. What do you think
Yeah,
is next for him? But who do you think he should fight?
I ask you, who you want to see Tofik facing?
I don't even know. Like he's beaten everybody.
Yeah, and in staying lightweight, it's a very good
Mhm.
question too. I suggest a rematch against Patrick Pitbull Ferry,
Mhm.
but if if he stay available, he have a fight schedule in October, right?
Mhm.
In Dublin against SBG guy, and
Queeley.
it's a it's a good matchup. But if not be him, how about Michael Chandler?
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Chandler said, remember when we were at New Year's Eve, he
Yeah,
said he would come and fight him.
yeah, it's a very good
Mhm.
matchup. If the both promotions make a deal or Chandler receive a very good offer from Rise, it's definitely be amazing.
All right. What about Ren Hirimoto? He said this guy was saying that he's thinking about going to MMA. He's posted something on Instagram about going to the UFC. Do you know anything about that?
I not see anything about the UFC, but the interesting here is true. Hiramoto is very young, 21 years old.
Mhm.
He's a legit, but you understand MMA is not kickboxing. If
Mhm.
you want to be there, you need to be prepared because. But it's the kid have talent. If he goes to the gym and try to evaluate his skills, especially ground skills, he can be very good things up to
Mhm.
Japanese fans.
Definitely. Tension is another guy, right? He's fought MMA before, but do you think he's gonna fight MMA again, or is he just gonna stick to kickboxing? I heard that he was gonna do boxing too.
Yeah, yeah, he always wants to compete, especially after this image against Floyd
Mhm.
Mayweather. But my question is, it's about the interest of teaching in MMA, right? Because uh, probably. maybe he not feels very good, comfortable competing there, and the damage is much being serious than kickboxing gloves. I don't know, man. I don't know. But Tenshin is young too. He's still in there, and if he have a good fights to make him in MMA, why not? It's my opinion, but I understand the Tenshin wants to be focused in kickboxing, probably boxing too.
I wanna hope that Tension, he's training his wrestling and his jujitsu and his ground game right now, and he makes all his money with kickboxing and boxing, and then when he's a
Yeah,
little bit older, kind of like how Israel Adesanya did it. He trained his wrestling while he was doing this kickboxing and kind of built his name and became famous. And then when he went to the UFC, he blew up and he was ready for all of that. So
yeah.
I hope Tension does the same.
Yeah, I hope so. But I think in the Adesanya scenario, probably he visualized a future to him in UFC. Okay, uh, I see it. I can do this. I think depends about the people involved in behind you. Especially in Adesanya, they have a very good people been there. They have Dan Hooker and Kai Kara France, a lot of people with MMA skills. I think in the Tenshin scenario, probably can be the same. If Tenshin stay close to MMA people, definitely he see the people competing, and he can try again. I think he has potential, and if the big offer comes, why not? Why not? I think the Tenshin have a very good potential to do everything he wants. If he wants to go into the boxing, if he wants to stay on kickboxing and try MMA, probably the kid have a chance to make a successful things.
Yeah, usually if a fighter is trying to go to MMA, I would support going to MMA, but with Tension, he's so phenomenal at kickboxing
Yeah,
and he could be phenomenal at boxing to where it's like he should go that way. If it's going to have less damage to his body and he could make the most money, you should probably go that way.
yeah, I agree 100%. The kid always make different things, and wow, and
Mhm.
uh, uh, it's a good feeling every fight since we watch Tenshin compete. It's a very nice to see how much things the kid can do.
Definitely. What do you think about uh Boku? Boku, he came back. He's saying that he wants to fight Asakura. Do you think that's a good idea for Boku?
Uh, I don't believe so, but I think this story created it's a good for the fans, especially because the relationship Boko has with Kid Yamamoto's gym, everything he's done. I I think the all the story, all this stuff, it's going to involve it, can
Mm,
make this fight happen, and but for Boko, it's a incredible opportunity to face the superstar of the promotion, and if he gets the win, it's incredible. Definitely, he will be back, and it's a very important opportunity for his career. But it's good. It's
oh,
good if you like
yeah.
Kotetsuboku, and you have a very good fight to watch.
Yeah, yeah. I love Boku. Boku's great. Two more questions. What the Contender Series Asia, like have you heard anything about some Japanese fighters maybe competing there once the pandemic is over?
Right now, I don't not hearing anything, but probably I do believe the UFC is still looking for someone, but for now, unfortunately, I not listening to anyone.
All right. Now, also the money, in kickboxing in Japan, is it more profitable to be a kickboxer than an MMA fighter in Japan?
Mm, it's good question. I do believe right now, no. But if you talks like Takeru, I do believe he make very good money, especially with the last couple fights. But depends about situation, you know. Right now, I do believe the market is not only about how much money you can do, but how much popular you can be. And if you are be popular, uh, doesn't care where you stay. You know, probably definitely you make good money about that situation.
All right. Um, Bruno, thank you, man, so much for the time. I know you're busy and you got things to
Yeah,
do, but I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully in the next maybe month or two you come back on and answer a bunch of questions. There's more
of
questions,
course.
but I know you got to go. So thank
Oh,
you for coming on,
no,
and keep in contact. And everybody that's watching, follow Bruno on Twitter, follow him on Facebook, go subscribe to his YouTube page. He's got all the coverage for all the Japanese promotions and beyond. Thank you so much, Bruno.
oh, thank you.
All right, that was Bruno. I don't know. I don't want to butcher his last name, so I'm not gonna say it. But if you go to Twitter, let me give you his Twitter, and you guys could follow him. Let's see. Uh, if you go to his Twitter is BRMASSAMI. Yes, BRMASSAMI. Follow him on Twitter. He covers the whole stretch of Japan. And if you have any questions, you could go hit him up on Twitter, and he'll probably most likely hit you back and answer anything you got. Um, yeah, man. Bruno, been following him for a long time, and actually met him in person last year for when I went over to Japan for Bellator Japan and Ryzen 20. Um, and you know what happened in those cards. Bellator Japan, you had Rampage versus Fedor, and Ryzen 20 was probably one of the best cards overall of the year of 2019. Just incredible experience. Like, if you're an MMA fan, I feel like there's certain events that you need to go to, and if you can afford it, and and if you can do it, it's like go to a pay-per-view event in Las Vegas, maybe probably International Fight Week is probably the best time to go, or and go to Ryzen on New Year's Eve. And I think those are like the two main ones that you want to experience in your life. Since Pride does not exist anymore, Ryzen is up there, just like all of those. So yeah, experience those two. I think if you're on a bucket list for MMA fans, those are the two. And also, like, number three is probably one of those massive shows for KSW. I feel like that would be something that MMA fan would really enjoy. A lot of It's kind of like KSW does a lot of what Pride used to do, and yeah, and they have legit fighters over there. So if I think those are like the shows, and that you should probably go and just experience the culture. And yeah, it's fun. Any more questions, man? I'm gonna stay on for maybe a couple more minutes. So if you have any questions, Bruno will be back in maybe a month or two. He's a busy guy, he's working hard. I appreciated him coming on. Good dude. Any questions? Yeah, I was gonna get into this fight fixing thing, but I'll probably do that next week, and at the beginning of the show. And I'm gonna try to get you guys more guests in Asia. They could answer the questions that you have about the scene in Asia. There's not many, but if there are some out there, if there's maybe even a fighter that I could contact and get them on the show to answer some questions. Maybe I'll do that. If you have any suggestions on who you would like to have on the show, the live show where you could ask them questions right away, just hit me up on Twitter at JHKMMA, or you could hit me on Instagram, same thing, JHKMMA, on Facebook, JHKMMA, or Kumite TV. You type that in, search it, find it. Just put the questions on the post, or just comment on something, or just comment uh, on this YouTube channel, and you guys are all good to go. Um, so, any more questions for this week? You know, the big thing that just happened was that it looks like Habib Nurmagomedov is off the card. So that is very shitty for every MMA fan. But maybe they will postpone the event and we'll be all good. Looks like you guys don't have any more questions. If you do have questions, hit me up on, like I just mentioned, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Most likely, the best way to do it would be to hit me up on Twitter, uh, or on the post that I post for this live chat, or on the Facebook. Go to Kumite TV, search it, go there. There'll be a post. Like it, follow it, share it, whatever the fuck. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Next week I'll be back at the same time, same channel. Take care of yourselves. Uh, Wash your hands, wash your ass, brush your teeth. Uh, you know, dampen your armpits with paper towels. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, be safe, and enjoy yourselves, and enjoy your social distancing and your self isolations and your self quarantining. Um, what was it? Would you still watch? I mean, one last question: would you still want to watch if the main event is still can? Of course, I'm gonna still watch it no matter what. I'm an MMA fan. Even if Habib and Tony are not on the card, I'll still watch it. There's a lot of good fights on the card, so just because one fight is canned, doesn't mean I will not watch it. And plus, I paid my year subscription to watch all the UFCs, all the Bellators. So if it comes on, I'm gonna watch it if I'm at home. Anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on and joining me and asking questions. Take care, be safe, stay home, and don't be like John Jones. Later.